Okay, here we are, Baruch Hashem, another 5 minutes of tefillah. I appreciate the beautiful feedback, V'siyata Dishmaya, and very possibly we'll expand. People want to know, why is it only 4 days a week? Why not Sundays? Why not Fridays? Baruch Hashem, with technology, whether you're there or not, you could somewhat be involved. So, Amir Hashem, we'll try our best. But for now, we pick it up with a shaiva. We're in the middle of discussing this type of tefillah called shaiva, called an hysterical outcry. And we concluded in the last year with quoting how David HaMelech, that whenever he did anything, not just davening, he did it 1,000%. We quoted a pasuk that David HaMelech was dancing, but because it was Lifnei Hashem, he did it b'kol kaichai. He utilized every fiber of his being. You're serving God. You're serving the King of Kings. You don't just do it in a haphazard, a half-baked cookie. No, you give it your all. And Rosh Pincus is teaching us such an important lifelong lesson that when you're doing something of importance, you gotta give it 110%. But then he continues and he proves this. Says Rosh Pincus that we find this by the Avos. The Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, you find by the Avos, not only with regard to their tefillah, but any form of avodas Hashem that they were doing, they were to do it with the highest level, madrega yaina. And he says a pasuk in Shmuel, from David HaMelech, and then he continues and he says that let's explain how we really could all understand this. How do we all understand this? Because many people here are wondering, what do you mean, like, I could really give it my all? And there's been many stories. He doesn't bring down these stories, but we could appreciate this more. You know, Rahman al-Itzlan, a woman who their child is caught trapped under a car. And somehow this woman goes and with superhuman strength lifts up the car. Or someone who is in a building that's on fire with incredible strength runs at speeds he's never found imaginable. Where did that come from? Says Rosh Pincus, that came from the full 100% utilization of their body. And if we want to know what's a real tefillah, what's the ultimate in avodas Hashem, it's to find a way to channel every bit of our being into doing that form of service. And that's what David HaMelech was doing when he's dancing. And he says that we find, the Gemara in Sanhedrin, this is what I was talking about before, that the Avos, it says that they ran Kisusim al bitzei mayim, like a horse runs on some sort of water. What exactly does that mean? And he says that a horse, if it gets over to a pond, a horse will run with such incredible speed so that it won't sink into the water. And it almost looks like it's floating on the water, says Rosh Pincus. The Avos, when they served Hashem, their level of avodah was such, when they had zrizos, it was that level. It was, if I don't put it my all, I'm going to sink in. If I don't utilize the ultimate zerizos, zehiros, the ultimate diligence, 1,000%, I might succumb. So the Avos did this as well. And this is the type of tefillah called shaiva, called tapping in and utilizing every bit of our energy. He brings a few proofs, but I want to skip a drop and we'll circle back around a few paragraphs over here. Because there's a question that's really bothering all of us if we think about this. Because the question is, what does this mean? What does this mean? To dance with all your strength, you could all understand. To run, if I were to tell you there's a mitzvah down the block, and you say, okay, and you get up and you dash down the block, those are all physical actions. What does it mean to have an hysterical outcry? It almost sounds like we're painting a picture of this crazy man screaming on the top of his lungs. Is that really the type of tefillah he's referring to? Says Rosh Pincus, absolutely not. Ein hakavana b'tza'akos, with screaming, u'b'tenuos chitzonius, and with outward actions. That's not what I'm talking about, says Rosh Pincus. I'm talking much deeper. Elo b'tza'aka pinimius, an inward cry, a silent internal cry, a type of tefillah that you could be standing there perfectly silent and no one may even notice, but in your mind and in your heart, you're 1,000% connected in the perfect devekis, asking Hashem for whatever you need. And that's this incredible type of tefillah, to muster every ounce, tomorrow we'll realize that this doesn't have to be 100% every moment of tefillah. If there's 1 second that we tap into that type of tefillah, that itself is worth the worlds. But we'll pick up from there tomorrow with a few more proofs. Chevra, have an amazing